All right, guys, welcome back to the Run It Back podcast. I am your host, Joy. Alongside with me, as always, is Wes. How was your weekend, Wes?
My weekend was exemplified by kicking one of my tires.
Mm.
The same way I'm just kicking. I'm just kidding. I didn't really kick any tires, but a particular driver kicking his left rear tire is the same way I felt about my weekend.
Well, yeah. That's a great analysis, Wes. Like pretty much the great summarize. Yeah, pretty much summarize the entire weekend for a lot of F1 teams slash drivers. But yeah. So let's get right into it, right? So unfortunately, we're gonna have to cover it, the qualifying, right? It's kind of like the boring section of the race weekend, but I actually quite enjoyed it because there was a lot of surprises. Give me yours, Wes. Your surprises, your best surprise, and your worst surprise, pretty much.
I'm not gonna lie. I was only able to watch Q3 because one, my Watch ESPN for whatever reason didn't want to work, and two, I had a meeting for one of my jobs that went for 3 hours long and kind of overlapped with the whole qualifying session.
Yeah,
But surprises, I'm gonna say Hamilton because he willed that Mercedes after a bad weekend, and his teammate Boat Ass was nowhere to be found.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah. For me, I think the biggest surprise was Charles Leclerc. I just, I mean, yeah, like
Two in
you
a
know,
row,
yeah,
technically.
two in a row. I mean, these Ferraris, man, like it looked like they had a lot of pace, like just in testing or the first couple races, maybe even Monaco. But yeah, they surprised me. I didn't even know. I didn't. Yeah, it caught me off guard how fast they are, and then Charles took pole, and yeah, unfortunately, the session had to be red flagged, but this was one of those cases where it didn't seem like anyone can beat his time. So that was very interesting. And so yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm proud of Charles Leclerc.
yeah,
Because I mean, we kind of knew that he was carrying that team,
yeah,
even whether the other driver was Carlos Sainz or Sebastian Vettel.
yeah,
He was carrying that team, and that was his team. It's his time, no matter what.
yeah,
And of course, Verstappen was going to be there. And of course, with Hamilton having bad practice sessions to get it to P2,
yeah,
obviously that was good. But yeah, no, I like that.
yeah. A special shout out to Pierre Gasly who qualified fourth, did an amazing qualifying as well.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, Wes, who was your worst? I know you didn't watch Q1, Q2, but just coming out, looking at the timing sheets, who was the one that surprised you the most that you were expecting to make it? Maybe.
Uh, I mean, if you're gonna put it based off of time, I'm probably gonna say Lando.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you're gonna put it on what I was able to see, I'm gonna blame Sunoda again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Lando. He yes, he did qualify on six, but he did have that penalty, so he got sent back to ninth. But yeah, it seemed as though I would say generally the McLarens looked like they were gonna go fast into the weekend, but yeah, unfortunately this is one of those weeks that they struggled,
Right. And
and
I'm
so
trying to. The point I'm trying to make is that World Gasly was supposed to be one of those orange guys was supposed to be there, or at
yeah,
least that's what I would want. To be honest with you.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. For me, I think it's Bottas, P10. Of course, yeah, you could argue that Mercedes kind of left them out there without any what is it called? Without any slipstream in front of him. He was pretty much the guy that's been leading throughout the entire Q3 session, so he didn't have a toe at all. But I mean, come on, like because I mean, with all intents purposes, right? Like he should be up there fighting Sergio Perez. Now, granted, Sergio Perez started sixth actually in the race, but he went on to win the race, and then Bottas was nowhere to be seen. and they're relatively close, in the grid. So yeah, it's quite painful. But we're gonna talk more about Mercedes later on. Right now, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the race. All right, guys, welcome back to the Run It Back podcast. We are gonna go over the race. So yeah, I don't know why I said that all weird, but yeah. So what an incredible race. This happened to be. There was a lot of turns, a lot of not turns, but there was a lot of ups and downs for many drivers. But generally, I was entertained throughout the entire race. I know Baku, I predicted that Baku was gonna be interesting, and it was gonna be awesome just to watch these drivers kind of make their rounds. I just know that something's bad gonna happen. There's always seemed to be something that goes on in Baku. You could make pretty much bets whether how many safety cars are there gonna be, because usually there are gonna be a safety car. There is gonna be a safety car in Baku, and so yeah. What's your general reaction to the race, Wes?
Laps 1 through 40, great. Laps 41 through 51, suck dick.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm being a sore loser again. And yes, I flipped it off after lap 50.
I love
After
that.
a particular car went into the runoff area.
Did you see that reaction from Toto Wolff, where he was just overfilled with joy at one second, and the very next second he just
Yes, I did see that
ah
because that was exactly me. Because I know nobody beats Lewis off the start at least,
yeah.
and
he, he
I
got a
don't I
better
don't think
start than
Perez is
Perez.
I don't think Perez is the best starter out there anyway.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden the car didn't want to turn. I was like, no, and then
yeah,
that's it. I flipped it off. And at that point, as I was walking away, I was hoping Vettel would take over. But at the same time, I look at my watch and I realize, no, Perez took it. Okay, whatever.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, a little bit more on that later, but yeah, like you said, Wes, uh, Hamilton got the jump on Perez, and Perez had to cover him real quickly. And unfortunately, Mercedes have this button called the magic brakes, or the magic brakes, where it allows the drivers to heat up the tires. That's why his brakes were smoking towards the lining up of the grid. And so he wanted to have tires that are overheated, of course, like anyone else in the formation lap when the race restarted. But unfortunately, he forgot to turn them off, or he accidentally pressed the button again, and into turn one, he just didn't have any brakes. Pretty much, all of it was front end. That's why he locked up. Well, at least this is what the explanation that Mercedes have given out, and so yeah, and so pretty much that consequently gave Sergio Perez the win. Huge for Red Bull. Number two, we got Sebastian Vettel, and number three, we got Pierre Gasly. So we got something out of it. We got a purely unique podium that I would have never thought coming into this weekend. And then Charles Leclerc was fourth, the guy who pretty much started on pole. And but yeah, what a crazy race, Wes. Like you said, so Wes is shaking his head, by the way, guys. That's why I'm kind of laughing. But yeah, I just love this race. This is it was very interesting. And it all started off when Lance Stroll, right? He started on the hard tires through in the beginning of the race, and then I forgot whether lap 30, lap 40, his tires blew up. His tires gave up, and I knew that one of the top three runners at that time, who was Verstappen, Sergio, and Lewis, I knew that one of them was gonna suffer the same fate because they were actually running a longer stint than Stroll, and so it was only a matter of time. Unfortunately, it happened to Max, the leader of the race, and so yeah, I mean, yeah, incredible scenes. But yeah, any reactions, Wes?
Yeah, no, I mean, for when I saw Stroll lose it, I was like, oh my gosh, that is quite weird because he was just running along,
Right. Yeah, yeah,
and then of course later in that race with Max, of course it was kind of like one of those. I don't know for any listeners that are outside of the United States, but for those that are in the United States, it was like those Buffalo Wild Wings commercials. So I was just like, what if something happened to Verstappen? I was thinking to myself, and then all of a sudden you hear, oh, and then I go, oh, because Verstappen is in the wall.
yeah.
And I'm like, what, what happened? And then, then the replay showed that one of his tires gave out. And then that's that's when I realized I was like, you know what? Pirelli sucks. Yes, I said it. Pirelli
Oh
sucks.
well,
You
yeah,
know, and an inexplicably expensive tire, and it becomes damn near useless once it has any kind of injury. It's kind of like a I don't know, to make it all Italian. It's like a Gucci bag. If there's a slight defect on it, all of a sudden it's like nothing.
everything's fall apart. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, Wes, you're not the only one that shares that opinion of Pirelli. I think I'm pretty sure Red Bull has really strong opinions about Pirelli at the very moment.
Tire war. Tire war.
Yeah, I mean,
Bring back Goodyear. Bring back
yeah, yeah,
Michelin.
yeah. Right.
Bring back Bridgestone. Tire war.
Yeah, I'd love to have more tire constructors in Formula One. It seems at the moment, Pirelli have gotten their hands full, especially when it comes to Aston Martin, who was actually running pretty decently. They could have gotten a lot of points, and then of course Red Bull. And yeah, I mean, so far tires in F1 haven't been that much of a problem. Not like back in 2017 when pretty much it would blister. The tires would just blister, and teams were having a hard time kind of you know figuring out the tires. I think Carlos Sainz was one of those guys who kind of struggled with the tires. But yeah, quite quite a strange problem that Pirelli have. I'm excited to see. I'm eager to see what the teams will do forwards in the next couple races. But yeah, let's move on to Sebastian Vettel's resurgence. So he scored pretty big points. Pretty much, he's outscoring Lance Stroll at the moment, and this was coming off of the two good weekends, whereas one is Azerbaijan and the other one was 2 weeks ago in Monaco Grand Prix. It looks like Sebastian Vettel has kind of started to find his rhythm in the car, and yeah, right now he's just kind of running by himself in that midfield at the very moment. But yeah, any thoughts, Wes, on Sebastian Vettel?
I don't know if I want to call it a resurgence,
Ooh, okay,
especially for a team that's been pretty underwhelming
yeah,
this season. I mean, granted, it's a light of hope, right?
yeah,
But obviously, we need a little bit more than just two good performances just to say, hey, he's back.
yeah, okay,
Now, I mean, granted, if he should he perform like that the rest of the season, okay, fine, whatever.
yeah,
But I don't think off of two races, especially in two very technical tracks, that should warrant a quote unquote like hard resurgence. Soft resurgence maybe, but
mm,
I mean, granted, I'm gonna give credit where it's due. I mean, he did great. He
yeah,
did good. It
yeah,
was it was good to see him up there again. See him have that taste of glory, bring home some hardware.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's really all I got. That was just the light of hope
Yeah,
for a struggling team, and especially a team that only had one car left in the race. So
Yeah. No.
it's a big name. So of course, doesn't matter whether you're a Hamilton fan or Alonso fan, Ricardo fan,
Yeah.
Verstappen fan. Doesn't matter who you support. It's good to see Sebastian Vettel do good, especially at this part of his career.
No, no, no. Yeah, I totally agree. And that was kind of like the point I was kind of hitting on, and it was that Sebastian Vettel. I mean, he seems to be very popular among the fans, and so I guess his success is it'll definitely pique more interest in fans, and so and it was. I'm not gonna lie. Although Sebastian was in the red team last year and he looked miserable, I kind of hated seeing him miserable. And so now that he's happy, I'm glad that he found the team that works for him. And so yeah, I'm glad. Welcome back, Seb. But yeah, let's move on, Wes. This is a tough topic to kind of cover here in the show, but so the topic like sorry I pretty much titled this topic, does this signal the end for Mercedes? Now hear me out. There's only one reason why I titled this topic the way that I titled it, and that's because I've been watching Mercedes since 2014. So that was a championship won by Mercedes by massive landslide. It was just pretty much Lewis and Nico that was sharing ones and twos, whichever um, pretty much order it became. Mostly it was Lewis at that year, and so Lewis became the world champion. The following season, it was Nico Rosberg. Sorry, so yeah, 2015, 2014, and then Nico Rosberg at 2016 won. Um, and yeah, but so I was able to watch Mercedes versus Ferrari, which was a massive, massive battle for the championships, for both championships. But um, Mercedes' constructor points, they were never at jeopardy against Ferrari, right? Now they're 30 points behind, and this is I think the most that they've ever um yeah, this is the most they've ever followed in the constructors. And so in that turbo hybrid era. But yeah, I don't know. This feels weird. Feels weird to me, Wes. So what do you think?
It's not the end of Mercedes. It's the end of their mechanics, and it's the end of the Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Because if I were managing that team, I would have a meeting with those mechanics at the end of the season and tell them go go find another racing team or go work at a local mechanic shop because it's not going to be here.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, of course, it's very frustrating. To kind of see.
Same with Valtteri. Go find another F1 team because it's not going to be here.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, you would be a hard boss to race, like not hard boss to race for, but you would be very stern. But
God damn it, I want to win. Like,
no, yeah,
do you think well, I mean, towards the end of this particular athlete's career, yeah, but I mean, granted, in an ideal situation, Bill Belichick would have wanted to surround Tom Brady with whatever he needed to
yeah,
succeed,
yeah,
right? Same with maybe, I guess, for our international audiences, like Real Madrid and Barcelona, they'd want to surround their guy with whatever talent they had.
yeah. Uh,
Of course, if your teammates can't help you, then guess what? Eventually that magic or luster is gonna fade off a little bit.
yeah, yeah. Like I agree with you halfway there. I do think that a lot of the blame um, is on Valtteri Bottas. I think Bottas is kind of on this. He's kind of on this funk where I don't think he cares what the team thinks about him anymore. I think he's starting to get that pushback from management, especially Toto, right? When Toto kind of blamed Bottas for the pit stop where in Monaco where the wheel nut was pretty much they couldn't take it off, and so he was stuck in the pits forever for the longest pit stop recorded in F1 history, I think. Uh, but yeah, he pretty much blamed Bottas, saying that he didn't stop on the point where he should stop, and so I think this is where like the relationship's starting to deteriorate between him and Toto Wolff and Valtteri Bottas. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like Bottas doesn't. He's not really motivated to show up and do his best for the team and get the most points. Here's what I would do. If I was gonna be the stern boss, I would be on the call. I would be on the phone with Williams at this very moment. I am calling Williams and I'm telling I'm probably on the phone with Russell as well. Like, look, like we need a second driver that can actually score points. He could be there. I'm pretty sure Russell would also do it. He would love to do it. He would kind of be the gunner for Lewis. And that's all we need at this very moment because at the moment Bottas is nowhere to be found. And so yeah, that's just my thoughts on the situation.
Yeah, we could do a mass trade too. Why don't we just swap pit crews as well? God damn it! Like, or I don't know, pay some kind of I don't know, cover the kids' tuition of all the Red Bull pit crew and be like, all right, come here.
That I
We'll
mean,
we'll pay for your kids' engineering school or something.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. That Red Bull pit crew has is incredible. They're pulling out 1.8 stops regularly. And so I remember when Red Bull sucked at pit stops. That was one of their weakest points. That was like in 2006, 2010, somewhere like that. They were horrible. And I remember when Williams was the best pit crew. They were pretty much setting fast laps. That's what they called it back then. DHL fast pit stops or something like that. But yeah, yeah, I hear you, Wes.
It's not the end. I think
Yeah,
when we go to Paul Ricard, we're gonna see another chess match.
yeah.
Really,
No,
I
keep in
mean,
mind,
for
guys. Like this is what the seventh race that's gonna come up on the 22, 23 scheduled races for the season.
yeah, and
Yeah,
on top of that,
Max didn't
at
finish.
least from a driver's standings, it's still the same
It's still the
because
same.
nobody gained anything,
Yeah,
and that's very rare to see the two top dogs gain 0 points,
yeah,
both of them.
yeah, yeah.
And
I am.
that's
Yeah,
probably the only time we're gonna see that this season.
yeah. I'm not too worried about the drivers. I think Lewis and Max they're gonna find ways to equal each other throughout the season. Um, what I am worried about is Valtteri Bottas. I don't. He's supposed to be there fighting against Sergio Perez, and I picked him. No, I remember we created our predictions prior to the season starting, and I predicted that Red Bull were going to take the constructors, but Lewis is going to take the drivers. So I don't know. I might be pretty good at predicting these things, but we will see. We will see. Any more to add, Wes?
No, I'm good here.
All right, cool, cool, cool. And yeah, so that's pretty much our show for tonight, guys. Um, we will be back in 2 weeks. Yes, we will be back in 2 weeks for the to cover the French Grand Prix. Until then, stay tuned because No Decision, a fresh episode of No Decision, is coming up, and we will cover some fights that happened this weekend. Some interesting fights. that happen, and pretty much the landscape of boxing as it shifts. Thank you guys for listening.